This is Brendan Appel with Sons of Speed on the floor of the New York Auto Show. I'm here with Jim Nichols, who's a spokesperson for Volvo, and we're standing in front of the XC60. Tell us about the driving of this vehicle, because this is a brand new redesign of the 60. So how is this going to drive different than the current model?
So right now, this is based on our scalable product architecture, which is where we're moving all of our cars to. It first started with the 90s, and now it's going to the 60s. In this car, we'll have the three options, engine options available. We have the T5, which is a turbocharged engine at 250 horsepower, T6 at 316 horsepower, turbo and supercharged, and we are going to offer the T8 plug-in electric hybrid. So that's a 400 horsepower machine that provides both 316 mechanical horsepower and then an 87 horsepower motor in the rear, just like what we saw in the XC90. The XC90 was trimmed more as a pure kind of luxury cruising vehicle. The 60 series are a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more athletic in their handling. So you're going to get a little bit of a tighter feedback in the wheel, and you're going to see a little bit more of aggressiveness in the acceleration.
And is it going to have an R-Design trim, as this 90 does?
Yes, there will be an R-Design available, and in addition to Momentum and Inscription. So Inscription is what you see here. That's kind of our top-of-the-line luxury style. R-Design, of course, is a little bit more aggressive. That's what you see up on the stage with our T8, and then we have a Momentum option as well.
Now, what is pricing going to look like compared to the 90?
No, that's the question right now. We're not quite ready to release pricing just yet. What I will say, though, is that the the current XC60 is very popular in its segment. We look forward to staying in that segment, and with the new vehicle that's coming in, people that want to be in that segment or even into a vehicle class higher.
Now, when it's going to go in production in a couple of weeks, correct?
Actually, it's going into production this week, which is corresponds with the first car to come out of a Volvo factory 90 years ago. Is going to be the first day that we start production on this vehicle. So we're just starting production now. It does take a few months for it to go through production, of course, get on the boats and come over. So we're looking for late fall when these cars will start to arrive in dealers.
Now, let's say somebody doesn't want to wait for the boat to come over, rather come and see you.
Yes.
And pick the car up in the Gothenburg facility. Is that going to be available for this car, and if so, starting when, and when can those orders be placed?
So we're going to, once we announce pricing several weeks from now, that's when you can start officially putting in orders. You can go to your retailer now and do what we call become a hand raiser, say that you have interest in the vehicle and try to set one aside. Overseas delivery will be available. There's not a date yet set on when overseas deliveries can happen, but just like with the rest of the purchases of the vehicles, look for the fall. You can start to schedule all that, go to Gothenburg, pick it up. It's really a great experience.
There is a plant that you're opening, I believe in South Carolina?
That's right.
And what is that plant going to eventually produce?
So right now the new S60, which has not been revealed yet, is scheduled to be built in South Carolina. We're expecting for the first year about 60,000 cars. The plant will have a capacity upwards of 120,000. And that's going to be the global home for the S60. So every S60 that's sold in the world from that model year forward will come out of that South Carolina plant. So we'll be exporting about half of the cars out of the US to Europe, China, wherever else that they're taking S60s.
Now, Volvo has become a worldwide, not just European manufacturing company. You produce in China, you produce in Europe,
Yep.
And now you're going to be producing in the United States. Give us an idea of what models are produced where, and what are the future plans for Volvo as it comes to becoming a world dominant company producing cars globally?
Well, it's important for us to build where we sell and also source where we build. So the United States and really the Americas is a very large market for Volvo, and up until now we never had a production presence. So we want to get closer to our customers. And what's nice now about the scalable product architecture is that our factories can be very flexible in the vehicles that they produce. Right now we are planning for the S60 to be produced in South Carolina. We are going to be announcing a second vehicle that will be produced there. That currently hasn't been decided yet of what car that will be. SPA cars, which are this architecture that you see here, scalable product architecture, is currently being built in China and in Sweden. And we also now have our smaller platform, the CMA, of which the 40 series will be built on. That will also be built in Europe, in Belgium, and will also be available in one of our factories in China. So it really depends on demand and where the customers are.
Now, Sons of Speed viewers are going to want to know if there's a Polestar version of any of these cars that are coming out in the future, as we saw with the last S60. So what can you tell us about any plans there?
There's a lot of questions that we get about Polestar. Right now, since the acquisition of Polestar, we're making the long-term strategic plan for what Polestar is going to bring to the Volvo lineup, and we look forward to sharing that soon.
All right. More colors than just the bright blue?
It's hard to tell.
Oh, Jim Nichols, thanks so much for your time. We really appreciate it. Again, this has been Brendan Appel with Sons of Speed from the New York Auto Show, and we're going to go take a look at this beautiful XC60 up close.